Well, I feel like that last minute is always the longest, just waiting to go live. I'm always just so tempted to do it early, but welcome, friends. Happy Dork Discourse Tuesday, and what an amazing day it has been, everybody. I knew going into this fine Tuesday afternoon that we were going to be getting the Rings of Power Season 2 trailer, but I did not know that we were also alongside that getting the House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer. So it was a great day indeed, and I feel like I've just been teleported back to what year was that? Can somebody fact check me? What year was it? Was it 2021 in the fall when we had Andor, Rings of Power Season 1, and House of the Dragon Season 1 all simultaneously airing? Like for a 2-month period there. There was so much overlap. The Lords of Film and Television calendar did not map that out correctly, so they were literally just like all on top of each other. Was that 2021? Or 2020? Yes, because, or was it 2022? Regardless, it feels like we're reliving that all over again because now we're gonna have Acolyte starting early June, then mid-June we're getting House of the Dragon, and then I guess Rings of Power. By the time those are both over, we'll be getting Rings of Power by the tail end of that. But it's another summer of nerds. It's a good summer to be a nerd once again. But welcome everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. We got Jalen, Charlie, Stanley's, Sean, Visitor Zeta, Lord Fal, Patrick, Julian, I saw. Let's go, gang's all here. Thank y'all for showing up, for being early. Lord Vito, what is up? What's crack-lackin'? Jason Olsen, welcome. And as always, to everybody who's lurking, but not necessarily engaging in the chat, I still see you, we still acknowledge you, we still appreciate you. But yes! So it's so funny, Tom will be joining us. I believe he probably hit some traffic, but he will be joining us, and I did leave him a command to watch the trailers beforehand. I know we sometimes try to do it here on the stream. He might demand doing it here on the stream. But the House of the Dragon one did get copyrighted, which is fine. Rings of Power was okay, but I still don't know if our sound situation is set up exactly so that you guys would be able to hear the audio. So I told him to, hopefully he listens, hopefully he gets the memo, and will watch before joining us. We shall see, but he will be joining us eventually. But for now, you guys are just saddled with me. We get to stall for a little bit, share our thoughts. Lucy, thoughts on the Rings of Power Season 1? Honestly, big fan. Big fan. And I am really curious going into Season 2 here based on that trailer. Is it just me? I feel like the vibes are dialed like it felt like a horror movie. It actually felt kind of terrifying. I was like, am I watching the same show? It was absolutely it was scary. It was bad vibes. So I feel like Season 2 is going to be an entirely different show, and honestly the finale of Season 1 kind of poised us for that kind of shift anyway, that kind of mood tonal shift now that, you know, Mount Doom exists and whatnot, and the reveal of Halbrand and Sauron all along and whatnot. So I enjoyed Season 1. It's been a hot minute, so I need to kind of rewatch it. I would be excited though if Season 2 kind of turned up some of the drama here, some of the you know, more I don't want to say made it scarier, but you know, like maybe I'm craving that because as a Lord of the Rings fan who got into those movies as a child, you know, I always give the frame of reference that my younger brother was literally 4 years old. We bypassed everything, everything meant for children, and went straight into watching Lord of the Rings. So, especially as a child, having those nostalgic memories, that being my first exposure to those movies, you know, so much of it is really terrifying. The orcs especially are, to this day, even as a grown adult, I'm terrified of them. They're some of the scariest creations known to man in cinema, in the world of film and television. So that was one thing I was super excited about, seeing actual practical real people, real human beings as the orcs in Rings of Power Season 1 as opposed to The Hobbit, which we don't have to open that can of worms, but you know, in that movie they use CGI They don't go the human route, and it's a noticeable difference, and they're just way less terrifying, if you ask me. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about the first season of Rings of Power, and I hope they step up the fear factor there, because again, where I'm going with all of this is, like, as a child, like, my core memories of Lord of the Rings, like, so much of it is so dark and terrifying, and the stakes, that's what makes the stakes so unbelievably high, and, like, in the face of all that terror, it's just these hobbits up against the world, you know? So maybe that's why I'm hoping that this trailer is alluding to that fact that it will go in that direction. Charlie, member for 32 months. Let's go, my friend. 2 years and 8 months, new milestone. The hype is real. I'll be preparing for the snap like last year in the comments. Don't worry. House of the Dragon and Rings of Power. Also, Cat, check your messages. I will. Thank you, Charlie, in advance, yes, for all of the work that you are going to be putting in these coming months as a moderator. I went on a little rant in my House of the Dragon trailer reaction for this new one that... This is something I've talked about with my mods, or not mods, members before, in, like, our members only streams. Like, it's, you know, when I finally dove into Rings of Power and House of the Dragon on the channel at the time when those first seasons were out and we were doing those reactions, you know, it was interesting because that was my first time really getting wind of another fandom that wasn't just Star Wars. And at this point, the Star Wars fandom, we have a pretty good handle on what to expect. And I've catered... Oh, nice shirt. Did you get my message?
What's up, everybody?
Go watch the trailers.
What trailers?
There's Rings of Power and House of the Dragon. Go watch them. Because they'll get copyright claims. Yes. A shout out to Tom, actually. Whenever we don't have an episode topic for the week, Tom always summons it. He always, like, manifests it, because he'll say something like, I'm sure some news will pop up. And in typical fashion, it did. So I like to think Tom summoned this so that we would have something to talk about this evening. But anyway, my first exposure, you know, for the Star Wars fandom, we've had this channel running for long enough that I've definitely been able to curate the space and block enough people that I don't think those types really seek out the channel anymore. Although I am starting to be extremely fearful for the Acolyte, but that's a whole other subject. In regards to... you know, the comment section, the way the comment section has already been on just my reactions to the teasers and initial marketing and whatnot. Jalen says, Cat, Tom, summon a Rex/Echo show, please. Yeah, maybe his powers will work in that regard too. So when we dove into the Rings of Power, or rather like the Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones fandoms simultaneously, it felt like getting thrown into the deep end of uncharted, unnavigated waters, y'all, because it was just sheer... I didn't know what to expect and how to handle them, and I quickly learned that every fandom has their own, like, behavioral quirks. And people think we get a bad rap as a Star Wars fandom, but the Lord of the Rings fandom and the Game of Thrones fans, I am so scared of them, you guys. And maybe, again, it's just because of the unfamiliarity, and that's not the majority of the content here on the channel, so I don't deal with them that frequently, but terrifying. They're almost more... I don't know, again, it's probably boils down to the fact that I'm more used to Star Wars fans and their rage at this point, so it doesn't faze me anymore, but... Rings of Power, I would be in the comment section like, oh my god, I straight up almost stopped filming my reactions because it was so overwhelmingly negative. So yes, for Charlie, in that regard, he was working overtime, all of my mods. And for House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones fandom just doesn't care to spoil things for you. The entirety of what will go down in the story has been spoiled for me and Charlie at this point, because he's so amazingly thorough, you know, scouring to make sure he's able to freaking find comments before they even, like, get published, y'all. I feel like he infinity snaps them away real quick. The Charlie sweep, I saw somebody mention, but Game of Thrones fans will have no problem just casually talking about spoilers. And I was like, what the frick? I'm laughing at Charlie's comment. As soon as you post a video, boom, banning those fools within 30 seconds. So yeah, that's what I've learned from that. So that's what I'm bracing for House of the Dragon Season 2. But especially now that people are really choosing sides, I'm scared because, again, I mentioned this in my reaction today that I'm team, Rhaenyra, and people were coming for me as if I had just like slain their firstborn child, like as if I had done them personally wrong. If I had personally wronged them, people were up in that comment section like, "You're psychotic. You are crazy. You are a sociopath if you're actually rooting for her." And I'm like, are we so entrenched in this that we're forgetting that this is fake? This is fictitious. Nobody in this is the good. Like, everyone's bad. It was so all this to say, shout out to you guys who are backing me up for rooting for Team Black. I needed some validation because I was so scared to publish that video today because I was like, the last time I confessed to rooting for Rhaenyra, people were coming for me via my comment section, coming for my throat. So I'm not saying, listen, if you're Team Green, let's talk about it. I'm so fascinated with how dynamic the fan reception has been to this show and going into season 2 here. Even HBO leaned into it on the description of the official season 2 trailer. They said like, raise your banners, like they're egging everyone on. They know everyone's choosing sides. So yeah, it's so I want to hear from you guys if you're Team Black or Team Green. I'm especially curious if you are Team Green, just because those are my enemies. So it's just so interesting to see even in spite of, maybe I'm biased, because even in spite of the way, in my opinion, season 1 was framed to really favor Rhaenyra and poise her in a favorable position where you would want to root for her as like Viserys's true favorite, knowing that what we know, the truth that he really all along wanted her to ascend the throne, to inherit that. So especially coming from that, where I really felt like it created an environment where it's inevitable to not root for her. Lord Val, yes. Your comment made me feel so much better. Freshly caught up, freshly informed.
Mm-hmm.
I missed, who's this from? Mike Hill, member for 23 months. Let's go.
Sup, Mike?
Master level.
Beast.
Of the 2 new trailers, I'm definitely looking forward to the 2nd season of House of the Dragon. Yes. No, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be good. Fresh thoughts from Tom, finally able to join us. What do you think? I forced him to go watch both trailers back to back.
I just watched both of them. And I've got to say, I am more hyped for Rings of Power than House of Dragon.
Wasn't that so freaking good? Why? It was so freaking scary. It was so scary. That trailer. The music, the whole first minute was like, is this the same freaking show?
It looks completely different tone, completely different scale with the size of battles and the world building. Like it looks completely different. Like they took season 1 and season 1 was the foundation. I think everybody who watched the show was like, okay, season 1 was like, there were some good moments in there, but it wasn't like revolutionary and trailblazing. We were like, at least I think 2 of us after that season were like, all right, this is setting a serious foundation.
Right, you're just getting started.
For what this show is going to grow into.
Yes.
Which is, Sauron masked as an elf. And the delivering of all the rings, which were 2 questions afterwards. You're like, what? He wasn't disguised as an elf. Like, yeah, what happened to that? Where were the other rings? Blah, blah, blah. But this trailer's like, he was disguised as an elf. These other rings, they discover that Sauron is, like, Galadriel makes the realization in the trailer, her monologue, is that, oh, he was here. He was disguised as among us. He was one of us. Blah, blah, blah. So, like, we just taking what the first season laid out and just blowing it up, expanding it. Yeah. Blowing it up as in, like, if you take a picture and blow it up to make it higher resolution and bigger and better, not, like, dropping a bomb on it.
Yeah, no, they're... Like, I remember feeling that way after the season 1 finale. I was like, this really feels like it's just the beginning of the story. Like, it's just getting started, and now that this is over and we have to wait for everything that it has just kind of poised us for. Like, you said it perfectly. I think it's really going to end up being like opening the door. You had to lay out all that groundwork for now, like, we're really gonna get to the riveting, like, the good stuff into the trenches.
Yeah.
But yes.
So, yeah, that Rings of Power trailer
It was
caught
so
me
good.
off guard with how where they're going with the second season, which is
Yeah.
basically taking the foundation and just running full speed with it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I like was not expecting that by a mile. Like, I don't know what I had in mind. I wasn't expecting anything because I was still frankly shocked that we're even getting this show this summer. But when that hit, I was like, this, whatever my expectations even were, whatever ones I had were like just completely just eviscerated by how epic that trailer was.
Yeah.
And I still went to the comment section because I was like, all the deniers and people who are just absolutely crapping on season 1, like, there's no way you can watch this and not be so freaking hyped. Because even if you disliked season 1, and feel free in the chat, because I know there was a very wide range of opinions and mixed perception, and that's totally fine. So feel free to sound off. But I feel like even if you disliked season 1, that trailer, like we said, it looks like an entirely different show, clean, fresh, different slate. It's like, that's gotta still pique your interest. And I was just so, or maybe this proves like what we've known all along. I went to go look at the comment section because I was like, there's no way people are roasting this. And it was the same kind of like just vitriol like attacks on the show as season 1, like all the same just jokes and naysayers pretty much in the comment section. But that to me kind of just proves like, all right.
Well, it's also just a trailer, so we don't
But
know how it's going to turn out.
So good.
Yeah, it was.
I even said it in my reaction, which I try to always be objective, but I even said, I was like, how can you not be excited by that? So to me,
because you're taking something that's existed for decades and creating something new with it. So it's not going to be exactly to what the books were.
Yes.
The books take place over thousands of years with Galadriel's life, but they got to put it into a condensable show format. Like, there's always going to be things that get nitpicked and whatnot.
Julian says I wasn't crazy about Rings of Power season 1, but hopefully the second season is better. That's fair. MJ Daniel, I liked season 1 well enough, and season 2 looks to be better. Like, I agree. I feel confidently like they wouldn't open it. I hope that's not bait. I feel like they wouldn't paint it to be so dark and scary if it weren't going to be.
Yeah.
Matrix says season 1 trailer was good, but I was disappointed by it, so I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. That's fair. Data says...
it wasn't like the season. There were some good moments, but overall, it was a relatively small story, but it was laying the foundation for this, which is Sauron has returned and actually, reignited Mordor and is returning. And now this season 2 trailer was all about, okay, Sauron is, like, everybody else realizes he's back. The season 1 ends with the audience realizing, okay, he's back. This is who it is. But all the other characters in season 1 don't realize that. But now this season 2 trailer was like, okay, everybody realizes it now. And now we're all going to war, try and stop it, because the enemy has showed his true face. So
yeah. So interesting. So the fact that you liked that better than the House of the Dragon trailer, did that just not do it for you, or?
Well, I think it caught me off guard more.
Yeah.
I mean, House of Dragon.
We kind of know
we're going to get death and dragons and fire and incest and thrones and the realm and the houses and treason, and we know what we're getting. Not to say it's not good. I'm not excited for it. It was a good trailer. Piqued my interest. Got me back into the mindset of, Rhaenyra versus, or
Aegon.
I don't even remember. Rhaenyra.
Daemon.
Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Ricky Bobby, all the R names. Rhaegar, that's a dragon, right? Rhaenys, Rhaenyra, Rhaegar, Rhaegon, Raven. There's a lot of R names. And it's hard for me to keep track. But I'm back in the headspace of, all right, here we are. There was the betrayal, the spark plug that is going to ignite this inner realm civil war, and everybody's going to pick a side, and then we'll see what happens. We know we're gonna get dragons. We're gonna get death. We're gonna get a lot of death. We're gonna get some incest.
Stop it! You already said
Some,
that. Gee.
but it's a staple. We're gonna get it.
You've
the whole
already
show is
said all
based on incest.
Stop.
All right, non-incest sexual themes.
Oh my god.
And more death and espionage, and treachery, treason,
for sure.
betrayal.
Matrix, yes, Adar is different. I believe they recast him for this season. I'm not sure why. Because I thought the original actor was incredible. And just fits aesthetically into that world and as that role so well. So we'll see. I don't know if that will ever come to light, the reasons for why they recast him. But best of luck to the new, I always feel bad when they do that and don't give a reason, because then it's like, all right, you're already giving, like, for the new performer, the new actor in that role, I feel like you're already setting them up, I don't know. And just, I have no doubt there's a reason why. We'll see. But Targaryens equals incest.
John, honestly, that sounds horrible. Yeah, when you describe it with the key adjectives, describe the show like that, it sounds crazy. It sounds
well,
totally
that's why these shows are
crazy.
so riveting.
But it's riveting because everybody is on the chopping block at any given time. And if you think, no, they can't possibly do this, they go around
will.
and do it. So the show is so intriguing because George R.R. Martin literally does not hesitate to pull the rug out of any character at any given time, which makes it very enticing to watch, and it's very intense because no one is safe.
Yeah, somebody commented that on my video. They said, I choose not to root for anybody because if you watched Game of Thrones, And I said, yeah, it's probably smartest to not get attached. Especially, we have a clearer idea going into this, knowing that entire bloodlines are wiped out for generations to come. We know everyone's going to perish at some point or the other versus, Game of Thrones was more up in the air. It definitely caught more by surprise, but I mean,
I didn't really think about that. Hightower is nowhere to be seen in actual Game of Thrones.
Apparently, Marjorie
Are they Hightower?
Tyrell is a descendant of...
The Tyrells are Hightower descendants?
Yeah, I think. Let's fact check that. I saw that
Alicent has red hair, right?
Yes.
Kind of. And so does Marjorie.
Oh, okay, well, would it survive for that long? Is Marjorie Tyrell related to Alicent Hightower? Marjorie is descended from Alicent's cousins.
Don't read this, you're gonna get spoiled.
Well,
potentially.
I'm just saying that it still runs.
Yeah.
It still runs.
Versus we know there's some Targaryens in modern Game of Thrones.
Not much.
Well, the whole show is about their resurgence.
Yes.
So.
Does anyone else have a soft spot for Alicent, or is that just me? It's not just you, Julia, and I feel it too. Although, again, I vocalized that in some of my last trailer reactions when they had the Team Green versus Team Black dueling trailers, and I said that the one person that it makes it so hard is the fact that I still root for Alicent. She's like the one tether still, like, keeping me like, because I feel like she does try to do the right thing, but somebody totally called me out and they were like, Alicent is such a poser. No, she doesn't. And honestly, they kind of were right. Like, they pointed out that she uses, who's this, he's the new kind of,
the Knight?
Well, that kind of was totally, yeah, like, manipulative and plotting on her part. Oh my god, Kristen Cole. Ugh, yeah. I think I forgot his name because my brain just banished him to the absolute crevices of my memory because he is the most infuriating. Maybe it infuriates me so much because I felt so sorry for that man. In season 1, I was like, your heart just breaks for him because Rhaenyra really kicks him to the curb. That's like one of the several things she did in season 1 that I showed her kind of true colors. He just bears his soul to her, gets as vulnerable as he possibly can. and she still just steps right on his heart. So I was there feeling like so dang. I had so much pity for this man. I was feeling so sorry for him. And then just this transformation. So maybe that's why I'm so enraged whenever I see his freaking face on screen, because it's just like, I felt so bad for you. How did I go from rooting for you so hard to you've had this fall from grace and now you just enraged me, like blood boil. But that's also a testament to his performance. Like that takes a really good actor and some good character arcs and development to make you go from absolutely rooting for them at all costs to waiting for their waiting for, all right, when's your Game of Thrones death gonna come?
Yeah.
When's your clock gonna be up? But that's the worst. It's the characters you hate the most that they draw out in the Game of Thrones universe. So
like what's his name? The whispery guy in Game of Thrones.
Littlefinger?
Balin, not Balin. Littlefinger. Is it Littlefinger?
Yes, Peter
Sansa's,
Baelish.
Yeah,
Peter Baelish, yes.
Yeah, that's scumbag. And then Ramsay.
Sweet Jesus.
Ramsay, poor Reek.
Oh God. Simply welcome, welcome.
Who's Reek in Star Wars? Isn't that a character?
Rook?
No, not Rook. Reek. There's a Reek.
Is there a Reek in
There's
Star
a Reek
Wars?
in something Star Wars, and I'm drawing a blank. Look up. But Rook, it's not Rook. It's Reek.
Just one letter off.
It's Reek. I'm gonna look Reek. Star Wars.
It's probably a human man. I think.
This is a Reek.
Never mind.
That's a Reek.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why did I totally think it was a man?
The Attack the Clones thing in the arena. That is a Reek.
Worlds collide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ramsay was one of the best villains ever. Truly, again, testament to the performers. Sorry I can't stay long. I have to head out. Have a great week and a great stream, you guys. Sal, thank you. Also, I'm so happy to hear that you enjoyed. Oh my God, Rise of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. My gosh, I'm getting them all mixed up. I need to like do a rewatch, and you've never even seen like any.
I've seen, yeah.
Have you seen the original?
No.
Yes, you should watch that.
I haven't seen the original.
You should watch that. The James Franco
Andy
ones.
Serkis ones.
Yeah, yeah.
I've not seen the originals.
I want to rewatch them, and you should watch them. But there's so much rewatching involved. But I need a refresher on like the James Franco ones too, because it's been a long time. But the movie actually looks so freaking good, and I keep seeing memes and everything on Twitter about it, like good memes, like positive buzz about the movie. Opposite of Madame Web, which you guys are really not into the idea of me reacting to that. I did that poll in the community post, jokingly like, should I watch this? And a resounding majority were like, frick no, please don't. Save yourself. So it's a different type of buzz. That show was getting memed for other reasons.
Yeah, react to the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings. In anticipation of Rings Power Season 2.
We'll be here for years. There's also the Planet of the Apes TV show from the 70s. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. Yeah, blow it up. Yes. Literally, like lines that you'll never forget. Like movie moments that you just never forget. Just watch it in regards to Madame Web, says Charlie.
Oh.
You look like you're going to say something.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I was going to say, so what's the timeline over the summer? We've got
Acolyte
on the 4th, House of Dragon the 20-something?
16th.
Oh, so it's like
June.
Literally
they come out on Sundays, right?
Okay. So yeah, House of Dragon not too far after that. Both of those shows will wrap up, and then Rings of Power is end of August.
Yes.
Should Kat do art?
Oh, come on. Don't get me saddled into something I can't handle.
Each of those shows.
I have an idea. I want to do an Abeloth drawing so badly. Because that's my favorite stuff to draw. Like dark and kind of gory, and she's got those teeth. And everyone's kind of theorizing, you know, we actually never talked about this. Because when did that trailer come out? I guess we haven't discussed it yet, really, in a Dork Discourse, the latest Acolyte trailer, but there was that creepy mask
Yep.
at the end, mask reveal.
Kylo Ren, but more demented looking.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
those kind of teeth like decorations, and as many of you have suggested, that it could be an homage to a certain character who people have, I feel like, really wanted to show up in the lore, in the canon, for a while now. And so if you look up her image, you know, she's got that kind of weird smile. So I was like, that could actually be a really fun art piece to pregame for the Acolyte, in case she happens to be, in case that it's not a coincidence aesthetically and that mask doesn't have teeth. But I'm so freaking hyped for whoever that antagonist is. Just, I agree with Cody. I can't wait for the Acolyte. Should be good. I hope it is. I think it's gonna be. That the latest trailer definitely piqued my interest. And we did finally go to see the Phantom Menace on the big screen, and so we got to see the preview. Now, Tom wasn't a huge fan of that clip that they showed.
Yeah, it wasn't really anything new. Like, we, in the trailer they dropped, we saw that fight scene, like 4 or 5 shots from that scene. So we just got the extended version of that, and then the trailer that we originally got. So, like when they did that preview for Andor, I think I liked that preview better.
Oh, that was so good.
Because it was like pretty new footage.
It was a whole scene.
Yeah.
It was like 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I think that was more intriguing versus what we got in Acolyte's case, was just kind of an extended version of this clip that we already got a decent amount of in the trailer. So we did get some extra dialogue. So we got some actual dialogue between Rue and Matrix Woman. So we got to see that a little bit more. Hear them actually speak in the context of their characters. But,
yeah.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. You got Jedi and Coruscant, the Jedi Temple, and then a new Dark Rising power that we don't really know exactly what it is. So sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting stoked, and I'm starting to feel like the clips that we see. I guess I was rewatching the trailer, and I'm beginning to feel like the clips in the trailer are what is going to be consolidated in the first 2 episodes, because it's a dual episode premiere. I hope. There's so much in store, I feel like, for this show.
Yeah.
And did you guys see the rumors on Twitter,
X,
formerly known as Twitter, that Skeleton Crew actually has a release date? And I might be eating my words that I've been screaming.
They released footage at Celebration.
But where the frick is it? Where is it?
They released a full reel at Celebration.
Why haven't we seen it? Don't make me open this can of worms now that I'm actually in the wrong and this show's actually happening. I've been preaching like a bad person, y'all, that this show's not happening. The show doesn't exist. But it is. It is. We finally have, I think, what is it, December? I could be spreading, I never verified the sources of that. So I could be spreading fake news right now.
Hello, Cybersmith. Good eye, mate.
Goodness gracious.
Started it.
He started it.
So, of the trailers and the shows that are upcoming, of the ones we just mentioned, Acolyte, House of Dragon, Rings of Power, which one, if you had to rank them in order of excitement, where are you ranking them?
Acolyte is undeniably number 1.
All right.
That could also just have the leg up right now because the other 2 are the second season installments, so we know going in, versus we have this such uncharted. Kyle, what's up? Let's go. This is
What's up, Kyle?
Such uncharted territory in the Star Wars realm. We have no idea what's in store. And I've been preaching forever that I just want something freaking new that is not within the confines of the current canon saga as we know it. Just break free, break out of that, bring us something new. So probably Acolyte. And then I'm gonna say, I guess, Rings of Power. Yeah, I mean, it could be just that trailer hype right now, recency bias. But yeah, the fact that I didn't even think like we were getting this show this year and the trailer just blew my socks off today. Like, before today, like House of the Dragon would have been up there because that show, like, maybe that always just goes to the bottom of my list because we know it's gonna be good. Like HBO always delivers quality, and if it's Game of Thrones, like House of the Dragon, like especially because this material has been finished, it has been written, so you don't have to worry about all of that. Like the source material is there. The source material is there.
HBO always delivers. Is that what you just said?
What's wrong with that?
I think HBO has the greatest collapse in entertainment history on their resume.
But that's why I said we have the source material. It's all been written. There's nothing to worry about because it's all been established. So they actually have something to follow versus going in having to just pretty much go blind and do their own thing. That's a major source of, you can rest assured it's already been there. They have the guidelines. So maybe House of the Dragon just always goes to the bottom of my list because it's continuously good. Like I know it won't disappoint versus there's intrigue and just sheer curiosity, like absolutely no idea for Acolyte, and kind of now for Rings of Power Season 2, now that it really looks like a completely different show. Excuse me. Thought I could get through that sentence, but...
Yeah. Very interesting. I might... Do you want to know what my ranking is?
Yes.
I think my ranking might be Rings of Power at the top. It just might be. It's either Rings of Power of Acolyte or Acolyte. The reason Acolyte might not be one is just because there's still so much unknown.
Yeah.
That
sure.
There's still very much the chance of the story not being great.
That's fair.
That is still that's still a possibility on the table here, that the story that they're going to tell might not deliver. I hope not. I really hope not.
Do we think it's a good omen that, unlike everything else in current recent live action Star Wars, which has all taken place in the same Mandoverse, the same sphere, same timeline, do you think it's safe to say that there is more potential here for this story because it's not restricted to all of that? It's fun. It's like one of the first Star Wars stories to not be confined by all of that, to be something new, to break free, to not be forced to work within those confines. For example, you have Kenobi, probably the most limited of all of the Star Wars stories you can write. Like your story and where you can go with it is immediately nerfed, and not necessarily nerfed, but just
think
hindered.
That's one of the strongest stories. I think the story in Kenobi is the best story we've gotten in any of the Star Wars shows.
I would argue it was the most restricted by
yeah. Except there's the well, now we're talking about Kenobi. The end, when the circumstances that surrounded their final battle, to me, was like one of the weakest points of the show. It's like, oh, Kenobi just goes and lands on this planet, and then Vader follows, and then Kenobi leaves him there. Like, that piece was the biggest drawback for me. But outside of that, the way Leia's involved, the way Luke's involved, the way that Vader is treating the Inquisitors and the role the Inquisitors play, like everything, I think personally, Kenobi is probably the story at the top. Now we know it's a limited series, so we know we got the whole thing. Versus Ahsoka is probably number 2 for me. And then again, this was just kind of laying the foundation, like Rings of Power Season 1. Like,
yeah,
we
basically kind of in a similar boat.
Laid this foundation, and now on Peridia with Ahsoka and Sabine and Anakin Ghost and Mortis and Balin and Shin, like, we have no clue what's going to happen there. Like, totally, they're not confined to anything that happens in the sequel trilogy whatsoever. They could do whatever they want in that other galaxy. because they literally have no way at the moment to get back. So they can set that up that, oh, all these characters we love are busy totally focused with this other thing in this other galaxy.
That is
So they
not
could
necessarily
they
consequential.
could
Yeah.
go plow straight through the sequel trilogy and do whatever they want
But
in
will
season
they?
2.
I don't know.
No, because we have Ezra and Thrawn and the Night Sisters back in the main galaxy.
Yeah.
So we know that's going to be something. But I think Ahsoka season 1 has set Ahsoka to be free reign, can do almost whatever they want. So I think that Acolyte actually is pretty constrained as well, because like for the casual viewer, no, it's not too constrained. But for us and everybody who knows the lore pretty thoroughly knows that in this time period, the Sith have not revealed themselves. There can only be 2 of them, but where we see the Jedi Council at in the Phantom Menace, Maul is the first Sith that they've seen in thousands of years. So we know that the villain cannot be a traditional Star Wars villain, even though the sequel trilogy has Kylo Ren, who's not a traditional Sith. And then you have Snoke, who is not a Sith either until Rise of Skywalker, and then it's Palpatine, and then it goes all the way back to the Sith again. But so this show has, okay, we needed a non-exposed dark side user. I mean, we've seen the trailer that there's Red Saber, dark side force user of some kind. But then we also know that it can't be so drastic of a conflict that like the protagonists get
It would alter
wiped
the
out.
course
Like
of
the
events.
Jedi are gone.
Yeah.
Like it's not. We know the Jedi are going to survive. They're going to be all right. They're going to continue on for another 100 years or whatever, and then we get to where we are in the Phantom Menace. So I think there is some constraints there, but to its credit, I mean, we saw in Jedi Survivor, they were messing with the High Republic and
That's true.
and Dagon and that whole storyline there of the hidden planet and everything, like
I had
very,
no qualms
very
about that.
intriguing. And
Yeah.
no, they did a great job with that. So,
Visitor Zeta. They gotta Sith this one out. I'll leave. No, don't leave. That was incredible. Stay.
so I think that it's relatively constrained, but they do have like 100-year buffer.
Yeah, in
where
regards to
it could be cleaned up.
freedom of creativity and the fact that this is of course there's the High Republic, written material and whatnot, but in terms of bringing it to screen, for the film and television canon and kind of levels of freedom that they have right now for uncharted territory, like there's a lot of room to play for them, I feel like, to play around. So
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I do agree. It's not a liability per se, but always that possibility that it's like, all right, we don't know how this is gonna turn out. There's the curiosity factor, but there's also this could go either way.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the Acolyte. I think I would put in this moment after watching the Rings of Power season 2 trailer, I would put that at number 1. I think because it's similar. Where okay, we know the foundation, similar to Ahsoka season 1. We have the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings trilogies, where we know Sauron makes his resurgence in spirit in Dol Guldur, and then reamassing his armies doesn't take true form. So we know we're somewhere in between when Sauron is killed and the ring is lost, and Sauron returning, which we basically just saw in this trailer. So between then and now, there's a lot of time, a lot of war, a lot of Sauron killing and taking over a lot of Middle Earth, and a lot of battles. So what goes on in there is there's a lot of room to play with, and a lot of. I mean, my biggest complaint with the original Lord of the Rings is you see the big bad guy in the flesh in the prologue, in the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring, and then he dies, and you're like, what? You're gonna have 3 more full movies, and this guy isn't there?
You just showed me the
He's
coolest
not
guy
there.
ever.
Yeah.
He's not in this movie.
And he's not there. He's not in any of them. It's like, what? How does that work? But then you watch the movie and you're like, okay, Lord of the Rings is actually fantastic, and it's the threat of him coming back
Yeah.
that would do it. So this show really is, I think the whole point is, okay, what is Sauron? Why is it such a threat? And I mean, all signs in this trailer point to, oh, we're going to get it. We're going to see. Versus the Acolyte, I think there is still a lot of uncertainty with what the main plot of the story is. Which is, I think if there's a lot of surprises and the story is good and it's emotional and it takes us on a roller coaster of emotions, then it'll all turn out. But if it's like, if the story isn't, up to par with the great stories that are told in the Star Wars galaxy, then it could be potentially a disappointment. I think overall, all of the Star Wars live action Disney Plus shows we've gotten have had some good story elements.
They've all had really good highlights. Yeah.
I think that
honestly, now that you're talking about it, potential right now, Ahsoka's up there with like.
Yeah, it's Ahsoka is easily the most. We have no idea what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Show out there, Andor we know. Mandalorian, I guess technically we don't know, but
actually that's true. It's a pretty clean slate right now.
Mandalorian is more intertwined with the New Republic and the sequel trilogy, as we know, with Necromancer and the cloning and the First Order and things like that. Versus Ahsoka literally is open cap. We have no idea. If I had to put one at the bottom, it would probably be Book of Boba Fett. In terms of, because that was much smaller scale, just looking at Boba until we got Mandalorian season 2.5, which was arguably the best live action episodes we've gotten in any show. But like that one ended on a very small scale, like the Civil War of Tatooine type of scale. So it's more smaller, more intimate with the character of Boba Fett. But anyway, Bird Church.
Thank you, Bird Church, for the super chat. And also Joshua, member 32 months. Let's go. Bird Church says, with the recent Rings of Power and House of the Dragon trailers, who is your favorite single character from the two of the shows and why? You can only choose one. Shoot, I don't know who I would choose for Rings of Power. I have to get back to you on Rings of Power. I really, really love, oh my god, what is his name?
One of those dwarf people?
No. It's,
the wizard?
No. Oh my god. It's the father. It's,
the elf?
No. Arondir is a good character. The freaking Isildur's dad. I really like him.
Isildur. The smith? The elven smith? Who forges the rings?
That's not Isildur's dad.
Cerebor. Cerebellum? No. Celebrimbor.
Jesus. That's your fave?
No, I just thought that was your fave.
No, I literally just said who it was. Isildur's dad. I don't know his name.
Oh, the dude at the like the super fancy city on the island.
Yes.
Who is
Numenor.
Yes.
Real quick before we get backlogged.
Well, no. What was the go? We didn't answer the rest. Of the
for House of the Dragon. I feel like my instinct is Daemon Targaryen. It was formerly Leonor, but he's not in the picture anymore.
Yeah, Daemon's a good answer.
I also love Lord Corlys. I'm ready for him to make power moves this season.
I think mine is probably Daemon too. Honestly,
it's tough.
Daemon or Rhaenyra, I suppose. Rings of Power for me. I mean, probably Sauron. If I'm being honest.
That's fair.
I'm in it for Sauron.
That's fair.
Or Galadriel. I always loved her.
Yeah, no, she's also incredible.
The two most powerful beings in the universe.
Her performance
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
Joshua, member for 32 months, master level. Let's go. I watched this later. Just got home. Not sure what you guys are talking about. We're no longer on theme. We've been scattered. Cat is right. Tom's wrong. Good answer, Josh. Yes. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Good to see you, Josh. Hopefully, I'll see you in a member-only stream, which I hope to do soon, so that we can do a little Deadpool watch party, y'all. And Dave, member for 15 months, apprentice level. Thank you so much. That's right. It's the maker's, Master George Lucas's 80th birthday today. Right. Looks so old to my young eyes. The force is strong in Master Lucas. Yeah, I woke up to a jump scare from Mark Hamill this morning because he tweeted like a tribute to him, but didn't say the words "Happy Birthday." I'll read you his exact tweet. I really thought George Lucas died, thanks to Mark Hamill's birthday shout out with Mark
Hamill's trolling?
Happy birthday. No, he wasn't trolling. It was a beautifully written tribute to, you know, how George Lucas changed Mark Hamill's life and everything. Oh, he did have a birthday cake. All right, I missed the birthday cake and just looked at all of everything else. He says, "For George, birthday cake emoji."
What do you think? It was a tombstone?
You changed the world. You changed modern cinema, and you changed my life forever. Prayer hands, heart. Now, if you missed the birthday cake emoji upon first glance, you think that's a death announcement. And I wasn't just me. I've read everyone else in the replies was like, "Give me a heart attack! Don't scare us like that." But yes, the maker himself. I know, if I didn't think of a topic for today for Dork Discourse, if it weren't for all these other trailers and announcements that came out, that was just going to be the topic. Happy birthday, George Lucas.
Yeah. Charlie, that's a good point. Damon's a beast. He can keep his tongue. That's probably my favorite scene of the whole first season, if I'm being honest. Then also, someone said Elrond for favorite Rings of Power character.
Good one.
Yeah, Elrond's probably up there for me, too. I like the actor who's playing young Elrond.
I love his dwarf friend, too.
Yeah.
I should know their names. It's been a while, all right? It's been a hot minute. I gotta rewatch. Eric Z. Also, I'm so sorry. I'm the absolute worst at responding. Like, I literally have a crippling, I don't even know what it is. I will get back to you. I swear. I have received it. It hasn't just been going into the ether. I did receive your email. I'm just absolutely god awful, but I will. Thank you for reaching out. I always hold my breath when I see George Lucas. No, other platform podcasts interaction. Yes. So I'm just the world's worst at getting back to people. So please don't take it personally. It's not you, it's me. And your emails have been going to the right person. I'm just the worst. Or Paul McCartney, stop. Don't get me started. The day we lose either him or Ringo Starr, I'll actually have like a mental breakdown. I will actually, that will send me someplace deep. Stop. No, can't think about that. He has to just be eternal. Find the fountain of youth, both of them. Jason Olsen, yes, happy birthday, George. And Star Wars Forever. Skull, heck yes. Skull. And speaking of other announcements and whatnot, somebody mentioned this early, and I wanted to address it, but then I just went on another tangent. But they asked how we feel about the new Lord of the Rings film announcement with Andy Serkis to direct and reprise his role in I believe it's just a working title for now, but The Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was getting a little flamed on Twitter. A lot of people were like, "Do we need this?" But I'm like, yes. Like, why the frick not?
I mean, it's like, I don't really care about Gollum. You know, they're not going to kill him. You're going to hunt for Gollum and then not kill him? What's the plot?
He takes evasive action.
Yeah.
I don't know, just more.
Yeah.
More Lord
I mean, yeah, it is. It's more Lord of the Rings in the world. Andy Serkis involved, so like.
I believe Peter Jackson as well.
But if it's I mean, I don't know. I just don't really know too much about it and what the plot would be, but if it's I mean, I don't think we can really complain about it. Because both the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit
Oh, and
films
that's right.
are
The War of the
theatrical
Rohirrim.
experiences and awesome, awesome movies to go see in the theater. So
Yeah, and I never got to see any of them, I don't think,
you didn't
because
see any of the Hobbit movies in the theater?
I don't think so. You know how I feel about them. I wasn't the biggest fan. I've since come around.
Yeah.
But at the
So that made you
time,
watch them.
I was like an elitist and I didn't like them really when they were coming out. Not that I didn't like them, I just didn't give them the chance that I've since given them.
The
So
Hobbit gives us, you know this, you know what I'm going to say. The Hobbit gives us the greatest scene
oh yeah, I know
in
exactly.
all 6 movies, which is Dol Guldur. Galadriel goes to save Gandalf, and then all the most powerful beings in the universe are fighting the Nazgul and Sauron ultimately, and they send him back to Mordor.
I
Yeah,
know, you love
Gandalf,
that.
Galadriel, Saruman, Elrond, all fighting together. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember watching that in the movie theater, and I was like, no way this is happening right now. No shot. And it did. So, that's all I'm going to say about the Hobbit movies. They
proved you
gave us
wrong.
that
Nah,
pivotal, incredible scene.
I've since
so.
snapped out of it and come
And
to-
Radagast. And Radagast the Brown.
Yes, I know you like him. No, I don't know why I think again I alluded to this in earlier when I was stalling waiting for you to get here, but like one thing about those movies is they don't lean so much into the practical as much as the original Lord of the Rings films are visually timeless because they used practical everything, orcs included. That's when I saw that it was CGI orcs and they didn't strike like the same fear in me. That kind of that's like a big thing for me, which again is why like Rings of Power, that was a huge relief to see that they were real humans, real actors, with of course hair and makeup and whatnot, but they're still more believable looking for me than any CGI orc. No offense to animated orcs. There's not enough content to make a movie about Gollum. That's fair.
Yeah, Lord Fowl. I'm kind of with you. I'm like, if this is all about Gollum, I mean, his backstory is interesting. But like, we got all the backstory we need, where he was an elf, or not an elf, a hobbit, and then he got in a fight with the other hobbit, and then he bit the guy's fingers off, and then found the ring, and then he turned into.
Sorry, I'll have to say
But like
that.
that's the backstory.
Everybody
we
knows
really
that.
all need. Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody knows that.
I guess
like,
not.
Where are we
everyone's
going
hears,
from
Lord of the
here with that?
Well,
The
that
Hunt
would
for
actually
When
be
does it take
so
place?
cool
Does
if
take
it did
place?
focus on some of that in between interim time during his transformation.
Or is it between? Is it between
I think it could be
Hobbit and Fellowship?
Yeah, I think it could
it's
be
gotta be in between there.
pre-fellowship because he's such an elusive figure still when Gandalf is given the briefing to Frodo about him. That could actually be interesting. And that's the everyone's kind of like, this isn't what we want to see, but I'm like, well, what do you expect? Andy Serkis is still able to do this role. He doesn't have to necessarily be the visual same age as he was when those movies were filmed. Everyone was like, why can't we get an Aragorn movie or XYZ? It's like, because they're all
Viggo
old.
Mortensen
He's
is
the
90.
same age now as Ian McKellen was when they were originally filming.
great.
Like, that is insane. That's actually like a brain blast.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily old. He's not like it's I don't know, in my head he'll always eternally be Aragorn, so whenever I see an updated photo of him, I'm like, don't look. That's not real. That's not true. That's impossible.
Viggo, if you're watching, apologies.
But even for Orlando Bloom, like, yeah, he was able to pull off Legolas and The Hobbit. They definitely worked some de-aging magic there, but he also just kind of ages very well. So, but it's kind of just like, well, if you want some more content that either predates or falls within that same time period as the original movies, like, Andy Serkis is still in a prime position to do that, and you don't have to, you know, expend any suspension of disbelief to be like, oh, he's 70 now playing a 30-year-old character. Like, that's not, obviously Gollum's a little older than 30. So, you know, that's not,
He's a little wrinkly.
he's a little bit older than that, yeah.
He's a little malnourished.
JT Lovecraft, what's up? Been a while. Many people hated Rings of Power Season 1. I had my grievances being a Silmarillion reader, but for the most part, it was very entertaining, in my opinion.
All right.
No, that's fair, and especially because I should have just double-checked this before I went through the trouble of reading Silmarillion, because
Salamander.
I read it to try to be more informed and feel like I would have an idea of what to expect going in, and then I realized that they didn't get the rights to like anything in that book, so that book wasn't reflective at all of the events that were going to happen in the show. So I was a little bit disappointed by that, because that book is incredible. They could easily, they could just source, it's like just an absolute gold mine that they could just such good stuff.
That's why I don't read the book.
I know, you warned me. But I suspect the torture of Gollum and the aftermath hunt Aragorn took on. I suspect that's smart. You're smart.
Darnak. I think you nailed it.
Yeah, that's actually a good guess.
You nailed it, Darnak. I think you nailed it.
That would be something. That would actually be so good. Frick. Dang. See, I'm excited. And also just to have, like, that was such an unexpected announcement. Like, we know we're getting the War of the Rohirrim animated coming out also later this year. Mm-hmm. But in terms of, I didn't think we were necessarily on any sort of trajectory to have a live action Lord of the Rings feature film. Presuming it's going to be live action. Warner Brothers is bringing back Peter Jackson and his longtime writing partners, Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, too, to make films from third and on. Like, let's go. Let's get it.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. Like, I didn't think we were poised at all to be getting any necessarily live action films for cinema, you know, for Lord of the Rings, for, I don't know, ever, for a long hot time. Oh, Bernard Hill, I know, stop, JT. Oh, yeah, that was a big gut punch. It hit me, though. I was like, yeah, like, when it's been freaking 20 years since these movies are starting to come, like, these movies from our childhood, like, we're starting to reach an age now where all of our favorite actors and whatnot from, like, our childhood nostalgic favorite movies are starting, you know, beginning to pass on, and it's just so, it's tragic. It won't be the same. Rewatching, you know, Two Towers, for me, that's my favorite one in his performance, and that, for me, is, like, incredible. Just stop. Helm's Deep, I'll cry just talking about it. But it won't be the same. I haven't rewatched it since. It'll hurt for sure. It is still hard to believe, says Charlie. I agree. But yeah, I think the future's bright if we're getting some more live action. I almost just said Star Wars. Are we gonna get a live action Lord of the Rings film? Stop. Before we get a Star Wars one? Because when did they say? I think the release date was also set for
something.
Set for this.
It says 2026.
Shoot. All right. I think 2025 is.
What movies first of the Star Wars that they announced?
Mandalorian and Grogu.
You're right.
Is it?
Yep.
Feel free to fact check us. It formerly was the Rey one, I believe.
I think it was that one.
But I think Mandalorian and Grogu has since surpassed that. The long-awaited Loader sequels directed by Rian Johnson. Honestly, though, I could see.
I'll take Peter Jackson, please.
Yeah. That could be something. But yes, no. All right, so that joke fell through. It won't be beating out the live-action Star Wars returning to the big screen, but that certainly would have been something. But yeah, look at us. We're heading right into this year. It's kicking it into high gear.
We're almost halfway done with the year.
I know, it's kind of crazy. I keep like, well, we're about to head
We're
into
5.5 months in.
this latter half of the year. We're getting Acolyte, we're getting allegedly Skeleton Crew, we're getting House of the Dragon, we're getting Rings of Power, we're getting War of the Rohirrim. I'm sure I'm missing something. But nerds are eating good. Once again, it reminds me of that period when Andor and House of the Dragon and Rings of Power were all premiering at once, and I was so like burnt out. It was just every day of the week was like something. It was crazy. But yes, it's about to head into the thick of it, y'all. These kind of interim weeks between Bad Batch and Acolyte here, we're scrounging a little bit for Dork Discourse topics, but once Acolyte...
We have these 2 trailers. We talked all about them.
By the grace of God, as we had no topic for this week, the gods heard
There's
us
always a topic.
and released
There's
these
always
2
something
trailers.
to talk about in the realm of entertainment, which is what we're all here for. So
Yeah, The Boys, that's right, Stanley's, even though we don't watch that, but I might, because everybody raves about it. The Bear, if anybody watches that, it's not nerd related at all, but it is a great show. Boys is out soon-ish. Yeah, I think that's also June. Whoever decided June was going to be the goated month this year. Skeleton Crew is likely Christmas. Yes, that's what I've heard as well. And I'm just eating my words that show wasn't going to happen. But listen, if Skeleton Crew, which I have just been screaming into the ether as the world's biggest denier, biggest skeptic, biggest naysayer, suggesting, like, for the past year, like, this show isn't happening. This show's not gonna happen. Losing all hope, having literally being on my last shred of hope. If this show actually proves to finally be, like, real, and not only that, but it's coming out right around Christmas, because there's nothing like Star Wars during Christmas time, y'all. And when was the last? I think the last time that was
Rise of Skywalker. Was the last.
Wasn't there a show?
Mando season 2 ended around
Christmas time, yes.
Mando season
But nothing since
3
then.
was like in March.
So Mando
Andor
season
was in the
2
fall.
finale, like,
Ahsoka was in the fall.
the last like Christmas time release. So like,
But it wasn't a release; it was the end.
but it still
Ended.
was around. It still was around. So if Skeleton Crew can prove me wrong, not only prove me wrong, but then revive Star Wars during Christmas time, during the holidays in December there's just nothing like it. So I hope I'm wrong. I'm accepting that I'm wrong. I will be issuing a million apologies from here on out to atone.
Personal apology to Jude Law.
Jude Law, if you're listening, to all of the kids on the crew, if you're listening, I'm sorry that I doubted this show and believed that it just wasn't going to come to fruition or happen. Now, Disney, y'all are out here making me look like a fool. And that's not unwarranted. My criticism, I will stand strong and firm in that fact that my criticism is not unwarranted. Because yes, as you said, there's footage, and it still stands. Yes, I know now when this show is coming out, I can't tell you still a mother freaking thing about this show other than Jude Law.
It's about these kids and Jude Law
getting lost in space,
meandering around the galaxy.
Beyond that, what is it?
That's about what we know for the Acolyte, and it comes out in a month.
No.
We know, this Jedi apprentice has turned evil in some way, and she's killing Jedi.
Listen.
That's what we know. That is what we know about the Acolyte.
If they've had this footage since Celebration 2023
last year,
where is it? Why haven't we seen it? Please, I'm begging you, anyone.
Well, it's like the Ahsoka teaser they dropped in Anaheim. We didn't see another lick of Ahsoka for another year, but that was pretty. Same
for Acolyte.
They had just been filming for like literally a month, and they
barely had
shots.
footage. Yeah, they had like a week's worth of footage.
They still put together like a 30-second reel.
And it was great.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I apologize for my constant skepticism and belief that this show just didn't exist, and we were just being gaslit into infinity and beyond. But it still stands. The show's coming out at the end of this year, and I don't know what the frick it's about. Apparently, it's the Goonies and Star Wars.
You've never even seen the original Goonies movie.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I have not. Ooh, Birdchurch, yes. I watched The Greatest Showman for the first time yesterday, and now, after Zac Efron and that and Jeremy Allen White from The Bear, I need to see The Iron Claw. Yes, and it just dropped. I'm trying to get Tom to watch it with me.
What?
The Iron Claw on that wrestling movie.
Oh, the wrestling movie.
Yes, apparently it's so good, and it got like so robbed during awards season, I heard. And it just came out, so I want to watch that. But fellow Bear fan, let's go Birdchurch. We're getting, I think I heard also that they're dropping all of season 3 at once for that show. I hope so. Anyway, all right, that's my monthly Skeleton Crew rant. Yes, I'm sorry for doubting this show, but please, Star Wars, if you can hear me, give me anything. Give me a morsel. Give me something to believe that it's real. Please. Like, please can Star Wars start doing, because yes, there is, I will say this, like, my biggest gripe with Star Wars is I just wish their marketing, like, they market as if they just don't even care. I don't know how to describe it, but they will save things for the very last second so that you finally get your first look at these shows, like, a month before it comes out. So you're not toiling waiting forever, and it kind of is nice. It's like, all right, wow, there's the trailer, and then we don't have to wait long to actually get the finished product. There's benefits to that, yes, but like House of the Dragon formula, for example, they dropped an initial teaser like a year out, you know, just to give people something to cling to, something to think about, you know. So there's definitely pros and cons to each way to do that, but like I feel like I prefer House of the Dragon route. Just give me something, give me a little something to hold me over and satisfy my appetite. I won't bother you again until the time's right. And now they're doing what Star Wars does, which is they're starting to drop more trailers a month out from the show. So it's like, you gave me a little snack, a little crumb to munch on before all that was ready. So I would shut up. And I did. And now I can be excited for the show versus I got no snacks. I got no nothing for Skeleton Crew. I need something to feed on so that I can be excited. Because I still just don't believe. All right. I can't. I'll just spiral like I always do whenever I talk about this show. But I'm happy that we finally have something. That's the most confirmation that we've had that this show is real. Other than the footage that they showed to everybody who was lucky enough to go to Celebration. But, like, what about the rest of us, plebes? Please? Please? All right. That's Celebration. That's, yes. Well, 2025. We'll see y'all there.
Speaking of Celebration, Eric Z dropped a very interesting rumor.
Yeah.
Earlier.
I saw that.
Saw it about
somebody.
Miss Natalie Portman potentially making a return of any kind for the first time in 25 years to Star Wars.
That would be capacity wild.
At Celebration. I think the only reason she would go is if she is actually involved in some type of project. Revenge of the Sith for 25 years is not good enough to get Natalie Portman to go to Celebration.
Sure it is.
She could have been at Attack the Clones 25 years. Or 20 years. She wasn't. She wasn't in Anaheim, and she lives. She lives in Orange County. She lives there.
She actually lives in France, I think.
Oh, does she?
She's bi-continental, I believe.
Well, she's divorced now, right? So
yeah.
Wasn't her husband French? Which is why she was in France.
Okay.
But anyway,
I'm not trying to air out her life.
She.
That would be something.
Why wasn't she at the 20th anniversary of Attack the Clones panel in Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in 2022?
She might have been busy. She might have been filming. She's still working. We'll finish things off.
I think the only reason she goes is if she's involved in something.
But what's in the pipeline that she could be involved?
Something we don't know about.
Maybe. That would be sick.
Something we don't know about.
Let's
live action thing in the time period of the Clone Wars.
We'll plant that little seed and finish things off with Dave's very generous. Thank you, Dave, for the super chat. My prediction for Acolyte, the Sith Lord, is Darth Tenebrous or Tenebrous's master, who's a Twi'lek. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Well, Dave, we'll hold you to that.
Yeah. Sign us up, Dave.
Yes.
We're on board. We're totally on board.
I'm down. I have no predictions.
Ultimately, I feel like it has to tie back to the Sith in that time in some way. If it's just like some like rogue dark side cult that just gets extinguished, and that's the end of them, that would be kind of disappointing. I think, versus this is
That's fair.
this is showing us the seeds of the resurgence of the Sith. That's what really would hit home for this show for me personally. But if it's just like, oh, some other Night Sister equivalent, like unique cult of dark side user that's resurging or surging up, and then the Jedi just like extinguish them, like, okay, it could be cool, could be an interesting story.
But if it has a lasting
But-
actual kind of remains or some sort of lingering threat.
If the Jedi think they have squashed this sect, this cult, but the reality is the Sith are still pulling the strings, and the audience knows that, then I think that would be the real. I feel like it has to be that. I feel like that's where they're going, and I think that's going to happen based on what we know about the series and where it takes place. But again, there's always the chance that it doesn't. You never know. But I think the fact they showed Sith-looking person with red lightsaber indicates it's not just a sect of dark side user that is not related to the Sith in any way.
Key term being Sith-looking person.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
Yeah.
Well, we can't tell you, but
Yeah.
well,
Anyway,
we covered a lot of ground today,
Yep.
folks.
now we gotta wrap it up with a poll.
Oh, sweet Lord Jesus!
Gotta wrap it up.
That's gonna take another
with
10 minutes.
poll. But we already know the question because I asked you earlier. So,
Oh well, this is gonna take you 10 minutes just to type out. I swear, one day, y'all, we will get a detachable keyboard, so that every time Tom wants to conduct his precious polls, it doesn't shake the screen like an earthquake. All positions. Oh man, we almost made an escape with that one. Who can't stop complaining?
Yeah.
He always sneaks it in for when I'm ready to leave.
Poll is the fan favorite
when I'm
here.
ready to
You're
go.
outnumbered.
I'm ready to sign off.
You're outnumbered.
Ready to bounce, and then it's like, oh no, oh wait. Versus he could have done this 10 minutes ago. That's where's Grogu? Don't worry, he's over there.
All right. So
There
I
it
asked this. We were talking about this earlier. Of the 3 upcoming shows in the near term that we kind of spent this episode talking about, what is your most anticipated of the 3 there? Jumping out to a huge lead for House of the Dragon.
Okay. The time has come. Execute
The die
order. You may fire when ready. This could also, though, I try to consider this objectively because I think we still have. I think the Lord of the Rings audience is still the smallest on my channel here. Versus I feel like Game of Thrones and obviously Star Wars are the more watched things here on the channel. I feel like there's definitely many people here who still haven't seen Lord of the Rings, perhaps. So I try to keep that in mind. I actually think that's 1,000% true because every time I was doing those the Rings of Power reactions for season 1, the comment section was mostly people I didn't recognize, I feel like. So that's why shout out to Charlie and all the mods for the moral support navigating that. We'll see. I literally posted my Rings of Power trailer reaction right before I went live, so it hasn't had time to simmer and cook just much yet, but I'm low-key scared to even just look at that comment section. We'll see. Maybe everybody's just tired of what they were doing from season 1 and just actively looking for anybody who was actually enjoying the show and ruining their day with a nasty comment. Maybe they got that out of their system, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we'll just have something better to do by this time around. We'll see. House of the Dragon, says Zeta. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that energy. Charlie also
Alright.
agrees. House of the Dragon. Bird Church, House of the Dragon, all the way. Okay. Let's get it. Yeah, no, I think it's safe to say House of the Dragon, like, we know. Out of all 3 shows, I have the most, certainly, I would put the most money down right now that one is going to, like...
It's going to be satisfied.
Yeah, will be good regardless. That I have the most, most assurance and certainty about that.
Yep.
It never fails. you can always put your money on the quality for that one. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's probably the safest bet.
Yeah.
Of being you come out of the show feeling like it was worth the watch.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
probably
yes.
that's probably the safest bet. The
Like,
other
honestly,
two, Rings of Power season 1 was, I think, still worth the watch, but
yeah.
wasn't again, I've said it a million times this episode, but laid the foundation. With the season 2 trailer, my excitement has certainly been elevated. I haven't really thought too much about it since the season 1 ended, but now with that trailer, it's like, all right,
I know.
I'm starting to think about what the potential is
I need
here.
to rewatch.
And then Acolyte is something totally new, like you were saying. It's a new time period for actual show content. We got very little of the plot in the trailers, so there's a lot of unknowns there. But yeah, House of Dragon is very, again, we got the 5
Reliable.
rules
Stop.
of Westeros.
You've said it like 5 times already. Stop. Death.
Do I need to repeat it?
Death, betrayal, treason, incest.
Death, betrayal, treason, incest,
What was the 5th?
dragons.
Dragons! Oh, I forgot the most important one.
And I mean, there's a lot of Targaryens running around, so probably
Mm.
more incest.
You could still apply those same 5 creeds, though, for Game of Thrones. The
Yeah.
original show, and it would apply. Versus
Yeah.
Targaryens, not as much.
True. So there was well, yeah, the incest actually wasn't Targaryens.
Alright, stop.
In
Stop with that word. We're
originals,
gonna get
so-
demonetized at this point.
So
Um,
interfamily relations.
Jesus Christ.
Um,
Sorry, pardon my French, everybody. I can't. We're gonna cease the poll there. House the Dragon taking the lead. But yeah, no, I think it's safe to say we can bet on the quality for that. We have most certainty going in that it's gonna be just mind blowing no matter what. So that's fair. I'm excited. We're gonna be eating good, y'all. Stay tuned. Oh, Dave, thank you. Sneaking in one last super chat.
Dave!
Thank you, my friend. Who saw King Aegon drop the F-bomb in the trailer? Oh, are they allowed
Did.
to do that? Are they allowed to curse in trailers? That's the first trailer
You
for
can-
like.
YouTube changed their policies like a couple years ago.
So you can curse in a trailer now?
Can't, well, you can't. I mean, any YouTube video, you can't say it in like the first 15 seconds or whatever, but afterwards, and you can't put it in the title or the thumbnail. But after that, then as long as it's not excessive, then you can say it.
But like, is that trailer? I can understand being allowed like.
PG-13 movies. you
Yeah,
get
like
one.
similar to like PG-13, you get one F-bomb.
Huh.
I can understand that if it's just like a web release, just for like YouTube purposes. But if this is the same trailer that HBO is gonna like air on cable and whatnot, HBO still runs on cable, right? Like if you have the movie channels, can they air that? I guess we don't live in a cable-centric world anymore. I'm still thinking such outdated. Like, can you show that on TV? Nobody's watching it on TV.
What's that accent?
That's I grew up with cable, boy. When I grew up, we had movie channels. We didn't have 15 different streaming platforms. Sweet Lord. Why do I turn Southern when I get old? On that note, yes, shout out to that rogue F-bomb in the trailer. Caught me off guard. Didn't know that you could do that, but I guess we can. It's HBO, baby. But so much to look forward to. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. It was a fabulous day of just trailers and being able to talk about them. It's always the best when the stars align so that we can freshly watch something all together and then have a Dork Discourse discussion about it. So thank you guys so much for joining us, sharing your guys' open thoughts. And as always, keeping it respectful here, regardless of what your opinions may be. You guys are the MVPs for that.
Yep.
And I thank you for keeping me sane as we delve into some of these other fandoms where people are not as respectful. So thank you guys for sticking around for moral support.
It's the internet.
I know,
People can say whatever they want.
I know.
Can't stop them. They're gonna say whatever they want.
It is
But
what
oh well.
it is. It's
It is
Wild
what it
West
is.
out here.
It is what it is.
But we will catch you
Indeed.
guys again next week. Topic to be determined. Maybe we'll be getting some more news between now and then. But until then, hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your week in store.
Yep.
Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, 3 a.m., whatever time it may be, where you are. And we will see you guys again very, very soon. May the force be with you guys. War is coming, y'all, actually.
One last poll.
No, sweet Jesus. I'm cutting. We're cutting.
Ooh.